So I've been working on a series of 3D printing projects recently. First off, we've got my Viper mask. It's got magnets on the inside. I'll attach to pads on my face. It's decent, definitely one of the largest things I've ever printed. It's printed in two parts actually. There's a seam down the middle here where I super glued them together. And then I've got these two snake bites that I also designed, printed for myself. They also have magnets. I've kind of magnet pilled. There's one that's kind of press fit in the smaller piece, and then one that's you pause the print and it's printed in place in there. It's a very satisfying, addictive, clicky clacky tool. This out here is the unpainted Viper Orb that I'm putting together as well. So here are all the little pieces, and I'm gonna go assemble it. But first, I kind of want to talk about how it all works and how it all comes together. All right, so this is just a quick. I made a presentation with a bunch of screenshots with a CAD. Like, this is a technical presentation. It's not. It actually isn't. Ignore the well, maybe don't ignore it. But this is a picture of Viper I drew once in the background, because a lot of these pictures don't really fit the 1920 by 1080 screen size. So I gave my presentation a background. So yeah, this is the CAD of the orb. I've kind of colored different pieces, different colors, so that they can be distinguished from one another. This is sort of a top view with some of the components in their final positions. But yeah, it's got that hexagon shape. And then here's the important view. This is the exploded view. Now this doesn't show one of the late additions to the parts, which is kind of like extends the knob down here. It's shown down here in the X-ray or the section view, but it's not shown here. But yeah, we have the base. This is what I call the turntable. This is the turntable platform, because it's a platform that sits on the turntable and turns with it. A lot of this I'm just kind of refer to as the orb cap. Like, this gray piece has the channels in it. That's how I refer to it. But all of this is just the orb cap, and this comes down and sits in here with magnets. And then inside you can see, this is the what I call the reset platform. Yeah, the platforms both move up and down, the turntable turns. That's kind of how I distinguish them. And then it's got this long shaft in here where the spring sits, which isn't shown in CAD. So yeah, this is the two views of the base and everything that goes on in here. The most crucial part of the geometry here is the spiral. So as the turntable turns, this platform rises because it's being pushed up by the spiral. And then you can see some channels for the magnets that go in there. I'll explain that better. Yeah, and then so this is sort of everything above the turntable here. I've got the orb cap. It's got sort of bars that go into this, or a rail that go into this channel here, and this is two pieces so that they can be attached together. Inside you've got 6 arms. All of them are resting below. This is upside down view, below the reset platform, and these are the arms, and they're intended sort of like starting state before they're extended. So the next series kind of shows a progression of how things start, right? So you have the turntable. Turntable platform is sitting at the bottom. The reset platform is also sitting at its lowest point, and then each of these arms are kind of sandwiched between them and shoved down, or not. Yeah, held kind of down, and each of these go into one of the channels, and those channels aren't moving. So those kind of constrain everything, and that's the intention. And then on the end of the channel, each of these channels is, of course, one of the petals. That's what I call them, a large petal or a small petal. So at the apex of the spiral, the turntable platform has raised up on the spiral track, and pushed each of these sort of outward, because that's how the channel sort of the gray channel here kind of constrains them. It constrains them to a diagonal motion. So the upward motion of the platform here shoves them outwards. Then the turntable platform resets, drops down in the turntable, leaving the reset platform pushed up into the spring. So the spring is loaded at this point and trying to shove it down. And that's what the intent is, that this shoves down the arms, right? Because there's interference here. This will shove down the arms again. They'll go back down into the channels and start back into this position. So that's how the mechanism is designed to work. Now, in practice, of course, you have to deal with a lot of dimensions and GD&T and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of these interfaces are a little bit wobbly, and I'll kind of demonstrate that holding the actual thing in my hand. But yeah, that was the way that I decided upon engineering all of this. I originally had sort of like double hinged arms that kind of pushed outward as this went up, and those had more wobble in them because I was dealing with axles. I was using toothpicks as axles. But because you have axles, and they're going into axle holes, there's going to be some wobble there if you want things to rotate properly. And it was just way wobblier than this final thing is, I think. So I settled upon this sort of channel design, and it works out okay. It works out okay. All right, I'm gonna go and cut back to my tabletop and kind of demonstrate everything. So the most complex and largest part here is the sort of base, and as you can see the spiral channels in there, and there are 6 slots, 3 kind of there vertical, and 3 kind of that dot the outside rim out here, and those help for various functions. So these 3 in here correspond to 3 that are in the turntable, so that the turntable is kind of biased towards certain positions, right? It wants to always return to these 3 spots that are spaced 120 degrees. Now, unfortunately, the way that I angled these are also attracted to the perimeter magnets as well. So in certain parts, the turntable actually wants to rise. And I came up with a solution to that, which is the knob right here, which kind of extends the knob on the bottom. Now this was getting kind of finicky and difficult, so this kind of deals with 2 birds with 1 stone. It makes the knob larger, and it prevents the turntable from rising up. But if I were to do this again, and I hadn't committed 6 magnets to the base, I would have redone it, and made it so that those magnets actually repel and push the turntable down instead of trying to pull it up. So then in there you have the turntable platform, that's what I've called it, and this slides in. I've got red Sharpie markings on everything on the inside. A lot of this will not be painted. The outside will be painted, of course, but the inside won't be painted, so it doesn't really matter. So these things all have their sort of preferred positions, right? So as the turntable rotates, the platform rises along the spiral and then will slide back down with gravity. That is one thing about this, is that it really only performs its function, its open and close function, due to the effects of gravity. which is a little bit unfortunate. The next section, kind of, I mean, if this is Lego instructions, we'd set this off to the side. Um, this is the cap. Now it's printed in gray for a reason. It's not just because I ran out of white. It's because I'm much more comfortable with having this gray pop out. Uh, eventually I will paint this like a sort of bronze color and green for the panels. Um, but I wanted to make sure that this interface here is gray between this and each of the arms, so that I wouldn't have to paint the arms. I don't want like bright white poking out here. Um, I'd much prefer to have this sort of gray color be the neutral. And I don't want to have to go and paint in each of the channels here. So I didn't want to paint the arms basically, because I didn't want to mess up the sliding of this and the orb. I forget what I called this, the orb cap. Anyway, so inside there is the spring, and it actually has been shaved down from the original length that I got it, just to adjust for various things. The reset platform is a little bit taller, like 2 millimeters taller than I have in the CAD that I was showing. But that was to try and, I don't know. It is a little bit finicky, which I will show you. But it was to try and mitigate some of that finickiness. Finickiness is, I don't know, how finicky the mechanism is in resetting. I was trying to go in and introduce more contact between the reset platform and the top of each of the arms. However, to do that, I had to trim the spring down to fit everything in, and at that point, it kind of just upsets everything. So here is the two halves of the orb cap. I mean, all of this as a whole, I like to call the orb cap. And once again, you can see those red Sharpie numbers that correspond to everything in here, right? So here in the base, there's 2 2s and 1 1 that correspond to each of the magnets here. There's 2s, and then there's a 1 on that side. And the easiest way I found of putting everything together is to kind of slide this on top. That didn't work. Let's see, let's try again. Hold on to everything properly. There we go. So now when we turn the knob, it extends the arms out slightly over those lips. Try and center things better. And once you get to a certain point, that's when the spring is engaged the reset platform the most and pushes it down once the turntable platform reaches the point in the spiral that shoves it down. So it works better than it did a week ago before I added the spring in there, but it's still not perfect. Now, I'm not going to attach all the petals because, frankly, some of them are a little bit tricky to get off. I don't have assigned positions for each of these yet, and I may determine that based on how easy or difficult it is to remove them. Eventually, these will be glued, though, and what that means is that everything in this sort of top half, this top section, is going to be locked together, and I will not be able to go and remove any of that easily. Come on. Yeah, this might just not be a good pairing here. Let's see. Trying to find an arm that it slides onto easily to kind of demonstrate everything, because I want to go and paint these before I stick things together and glue them, before I stick them and glue them. So I do need to remove them, but here you go. That's the interface as it stands right now. And all of these have been removed and put back on so many times that they're all loose, but the small petals have not been yet. All right, so here's the effect as a whole. Kind of opens out and then it kind of snaps back together. Now, like I said, gravity really does assist it, so I was kind of tilting it that way. If I have it more level, it achieves the effect a little bit better. Um, it doesn't. It still has a lot of wobble to it, which is unfortunate. And I think some of that will be mitigated once I actually glue these pieces on, because they there is some wobble that can be had um, on the arm. So once those are glued down, maybe they'll be mitigated a little bit, but I don't really think it will. I think there will just always be a wobbly mechanism just based on how I built it. Um, so I'm not sure I really want to go and redesign everything. If I did, I'd probably start again from scratch. Um, there's some dimensions that I don't think are truly faithful to the in-game model. Um, right, like it's a little bit more tapered out, and it's not like half and half with the bass and the pedals. It's more of a, I don't know, 40-60, maybe 33-66 ratio there. But yeah, that's where we stand right now with the mechanism and everything. This is the project that has consumed me for the past. Well, it's not been the only project, right? I've also got these and the mask. So, but between the three of these have consumed me for the better half of the past month. And yeah, we're kind of reaching a finishing point. So I kind of wanted to go and record this to show people some progress updates and I don't know, kind of mark it for my own posterity so I can go look back on it if I ever want to go and revisit this project again.